Alrighty guys, let's do a whole bunch more examples about reflecting. So one of the shortcuts that we talked about was if I reflect over the x-axis, we have a little bit of a shortcut for that. So if I have the point A comma B, my new point is going to just change y. So we'll have A comma negative B. Or if we think about it graphically, this point here, if we call it point P, if I draw in my x-axis, I need to be an equal distance away on either side, and I need to be perpendicular to that. So because this is 3 above, it will go 3 below to be P prime down here. So like this one was at 4 comma 3, and now we're at 4 comma negative 3. So you can see the only thing that changed was y. Okay. Another one that we talked about was if I reflect over the y-axis. So if I look at y here, my point P is 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So I need to be 1, 2, 3, 4 away on this side to be P prime, which if I think about the ordered pair, again, this is at 4 comma 3, and now P prime is at negative 4 comma 3. So the only thing that changed was x. So my little baby shortcut for that in general is like, if I reflect over y, change x. So negative A comma B. If we move down, actually going right here is one that we did talk about before, reflection over the line y equals x. Now this is a diagonal line starting at 0 and with a slope of 1. So it looks like this line here. And so point P, which is at 4 comma 3 right here, is like a half a square away perpendicularly. So it has to be a half a square away perpendicularly on the other side, which really puts it right here. So P prime, which that is at 3 comma 4. And so hopefully you can see that my little trick, my little shortcut is I can just swap. So the little shortcut for reflecting over the line y equals x is to just swap them, so it'll be B comma A. Now another one that I didn't talk about because I don't really use it all that often is to reflect over the origin. And the reason I don't really do it is because you're reflecting over a point rather than a line. And you know what? I'm not going to do it. So we're just going to skip that box. Nah. Alrighty, so let's go try a whole bunch. So just like I did in the translation video, guys, you could do this one of two ways. You could go and try these out and then come back and see how you did. Or if you want to watch me do a few and after you feel good about it, just, close the video. That's fine too. I'm going to do it in multiple ways just so that you can see different ways that I think about it. So for this first one here, one way that I like to think about it is I like to write down my pre-image. So A is at negative 3 comma 4, B is at negative 3 comma 1, and C is at 0 comma 1. And because I'm going to reflect over the x-axis on this one, if I reflect over the x-axis, I think about my ordered pairs and I'm just going to change y. So A prime will still be negative 3, but now negative 4. B prime will still be negative 3, but now negative 1. And C prime will still be 0, but now negative 1. So I just went through and I changed all the y values. Then I could go plot those. So negative 3 comma negative 4 puts A prime right here. Negative 3 comma negative 1 puts B prime right there. And then 0 comma negative 1 puts C prime finally there. And then we reconnect our shape. And again, you should have this same exact shape that you started with, just flipped. So it doesn't have the same orientation. It should be pointing in a different direction. Just pretend like that line is a mirror. Make sure that it makes sense to you. So that's one way to think about it. Another way to think about it is if I look at this one here and I'm going to still reflect over the x-axis, rather than writing down all my points first, I can just count. So because D is 2 above, I need to be 2 below for D prime. When I go to E next, because it's 2 above, I need to be 2 below for E prime. And then again, because F is 1 below, I'll need to go 1 above for F prime. And then I reconnect my shape. And again, because this shape is on top of my line of reflection a little bit, they are going to overlap each other. And that's okay if that happens. It maybe doesn't make sense in terms of a mirror, but I mean, on a grid, it's fine. So then I could find all my points, like D is at -4, 2, E is at 2, 2, and F is at 2, -1. And then I can find all my image points. So D prime is at -4, 2. E prime is at 2, -2. And then F prime is at 2, 1. So again, I can see now in the ordered pairs that the only thing that happened is Y changed. So same thing, just a different way to think about it. Alrighty, on to the next. So on this one here, I'm going to reflect over the y-axis. So trying this one out the same way I did the last one, because for me personally, I love a picture. So if I'm looking at this one and I'm going to reflect over the y-axis, I'm going to take A. It's 1, 2, 3 away, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 away over here. B is 1, 2, 3 away, so 1, 2, 3 away over here. Oh, and I love this. C is right on it. So like it's 0 away, so it's going to stay 0 away. So like C and C prime are in the same spot, which is kind of interesting. Only happens if the point that you're reflecting is on the line of reflection. And so then once I have my pre-image and my image, I can go find all the points. So A is at -3, 4, and A prime is at 3, 4. So when I reflected over Y, all I did was change X. B was at -3, 1, and B prime is at 3, 1. C was at 0, 1. C prime is still there, and the reason that it is because I can't change 0, like it's right on that line of reflection. So hopefully that makes more sense there too. Alrighty, on this one here, I'll do the opposite way. So let's say we write down all of our points first, like D is at -4, 2, E is at 2, 2, and F is at 2, -1. Because I'm going to reflect over the y-axis, I'm going to only change X. So D prime, if I only change X, will be 4, 2. E prime will be -2, 2. And F prime will be -2, -1. Then once I have my points, now I can go plot them all. So D prime, I'm going to go to 4, 2. And like that makes sense and feels good to me that it would flip over that way. E prime is at -2, 2. So again, like makes sense that if it was over here, now it should be over there. Like it's got to switch sides. And then F prime is at -2, -1. And again, that feels good and makes sense to me. So then I just reconnect my shape. And again, it's a little bit awkward because your triangles overlap each other. But again, that's going to happen if your line of reflection goes through your shape. Kind of makes a fun little design. Alrighty, skipping that origin one because I don't like to reflect over a point. I think it's kind of dumb, not going to lie. I didn't make this little practice sheet right here. I just like to reflect over lines because that makes more sense to me. We'll do this last one, reflection over y = x. So firstly, thinking about it graphically. So the line y equals x starts at 0 and has a slope of 1. So it's like this line right here. If I'm going to reflect over that line, graphically, it's kind of tricky, honestly. So I need to count from this point to this line perpendicularly, and I have to do the same distance on the other side. So that's like super tricky. Like to be perpendicular to this line, I have to do the opposite reciprocal slope. So because the slope here is 1, I need to do a slope of -1. So starting at B, if I go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, I did 2 down 1 over 1s. And so I need to do the same thing on the other side. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. To put B over here. Or B prime, rather. I don't know why I started with B. It just felt closest. Although C technically is. Oh, I know I skipped C. Because C is like not a full down 1 over 1. It's like, because if I go down 1 over 1, I'm past the line. And that's no good. So to get to the line, I actually have to go down half over half, which is still 1. And then I have to go down 1 over half, or down half over half on this side to get C prime. So it's like real tricky, I feel like, to do the reflection over y equals x graphically. And then A feels even weirder because like I'm going to have to walk over top of the shape. But I still got to do that perpendicular slope, which is down 1 over 1. So I did down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down, oh crap, down half over half. So I did 3 full and then 1 half. So I got to do the same thing here. So if I take care of the down half over half right off the top, I just got to do 3 more down 1 over 1s. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare. But it all does look good and make sense to me. And the reason that I can kind of tell, it's hard for me to look at it diagonally, but if I turn that line so that my reflection line is like vertical, I totally get that this was just flipped over. Like A was flipped over to here, C and B. So that all looks good to me. And then when I write out my points, so A is at -3, 3. Oh no, 4, excuse me. B is at -3, 1. And C is at 0, 1. The little trick is that they should swap. So hopefully that happened. Hopefully it didn't goof up. I haven't done it graphically in a while. A prime is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yay. So I can see that they just swap spots. And then B prime is at 1, -3. So just swapped. And then C prime is at 1, 0. Which that's like so much easier. So like I actually with this one really recommend to do it with your ordered pairs and then go plot them rather than doing it graphically. So same line of reflection. D is at -4, 2. E is at 2, 2. And F is at 2, -1. So if I just follow the trick, if I just follow the little rule, reflecting over the line y equals x, I switch x and y. So D prime will be at 2, -4. E prime will be at 2, 2. Oh, that feels like it didn't change, and that's because it's on the line, right? If I look right here, E is already on that line, so it won't move, so that is good. And then F prime, if I switch, we're at -1, 2. Then I go plot them. So D is at 2, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which again, that feels right to me, like it was over here, now it's over there.
E is at 2, 2. Like I said, it stays put because it's on my line of reflection. And then F is at -1, 2, which again feels good and makes sense because like it was over on this side of the line and now it's on that side of the line. And so I reconnect my shape. And it's going to overlap because it is intersected by the line of reflection. So no worries on that one. And again, if I want to feel real good about how it reflected, I always make my line, like my reflection line, sort of vertical. So I can be like, okay, yeah, that all looks good and makes sense. So, all right, I'll see you in the next one.